So many people live as if life is still waiting to begin. They postpone happiness, holding it hostage to the future, telling themselves, when I achieve this, when I overcome that, when I finally become who I'm supposed to be, then I'll live. But Carl Jung reminded us that wholeness is not found in some distant tomorrow. It is found in embracing the present moment with all its light and shadow. The mind wants to escape into the past or project itself into the future, but the truth is life does not exist in either. It exists only here now. And if you cannot meet yourself in this moment, you will never find yourself in the next. We live with a quiet illusion, a whisper that tells us, not yet. Not yet the right moment, not yet the right version of yourself, not yet the perfect situation. So you wait. You wait for more money, for better health, for a clearer path, for people around you to finally understand you. You wait for a door to open, a sign to arrive, or a feeling of certainty that will suddenly make everything fall into place. And while you wait, life itself keeps unfolding moment after moment, right in front of you. What you do not see is that while you are waiting for life to begin, it already has. It is happening now, not tomorrow, not next year, not in some imagined future. The idea of waiting for the perfect time is one of the most deceptive patterns the human mind creates. We are conditioned to believe that joy is always just a little bit ahead of us, just out of reach, waiting in the someday that never arrives. You tell yourself, when I achieve this, I will be happy. When I reach there, I will finally rest. When I become that, then I will be enough. But notice what happens. As soon as you achieve one milestone, the mind moves the finish line further. Happiness is postponed again. Peace is postponed again. And what you call life becomes nothing more than preparation for something else. But the truth is simple. There is no future moment waiting to save you. The only moment you can ever live is the one you are in right now. Every past you regret or celebrate has already happened, and every future you dream about will only come to you disguised as no. Life does not arrive in any other form. There is no better time waiting for you out there, no golden moment more precious than this very breath you are taking. Think about how many people say, I'll start living fully when I retire, when my children are grown, when I move to a different city, when I am healed. But life does not wait for retirement or relocation. Life is not suspended until your wounds disappear. It is flowing through you already. The mistake is believing that now is just a stepping stone, a corridor leading to a room worth living in. But in reality, the corridor is the room. This, here and now, is where your life is being lived. It is a dangerous thing to live in the illusion of postponement, because it blinds you to the opportunities, the beauty, the connections, and the growth available to you today. Waiting makes you overlook the richness of the ordinary, the warmth of the sun on your face, the laughter of a friend, the silent strength inside you when you face a challenge. These are not interruptions on your way to life. They are life. If you keep waiting for something greater, you miss what is already great. The fear behind waiting is often the belief that you are not ready yet, that you are incomplete. You think, once I fix this part of myself, once I gain more clarity, then I will be strong enough, worthy enough, alive enough. But completeness is not waiting in the future. It is present in you right now. You are not preparing to live, you are living. And your readiness does not depend on a perfect circumstance, but on your decision to inhabit this moment fully. When you step into the present, even with uncertainty, even with imperfection, you realize that the so-called best time was never hidden somewhere far ahead. It has always been here, disguised in the ordinary seconds you overlook. The greatest mistake is not failing or struggling, but wasting your life waiting for it to begin. So, when the mind whispers, "Not yet," you must learn to answer, if not now, when? Because the best time of your life is not a promise written in the future. It is the reality unfolding in your hands this very instant. The mind is a restless wanderer. It drifts backward into the past, replaying old memories, reliving wounds, and repeating stories that no longer have power except for the ones we give them. And when it's not wandering into the past, it rushes forward into the future, building scenarios, creating worries, and drawing images of what might go wrong or what might go right. We live in this tension, torn between yesterday and tomorrow, while the very moment in front of us slips away unnoticed. The tragedy is that life does not exist in the past, nor does it exist in the future. It only reveals itself in the present, and yet this is the one place we resist the most. When you are caught up in projections, you begin to believe that life will be better once you arrive at some destination. You create ideals of who you should be, what you should have, and where you should go, and then you suffer because reality does not yet match the picture. The mind convinces you that fulfillment lies in the horizon, but the horizon can never be reached. No matter how far you walk, it will always appear just as distant. This is why chasing future projections can feel exhausting. You are running toward a mirage. The power of presence is that it interrupts this endless chase. Presence is not passive. It is not the absence of ambition or the denial of planning. It is a deeper kind of seeing, a direct contact with life as it is, unfiltered by the noise of yesterday and the demands of tomorrow. When you are truly present, you begin to notice that the world is alive in ways you had ignored. The smallest details, a drop of rain sliding down the glass, the rhythm of your breath, the way silence itself has texture, become gateways into a richness that no amount of future achievement can match. You may ask, but how can being present help me with the responsibilities, the struggles, the plans I need to make? The answer is simple. Presence doesn't erase your responsibilities, but it changes how you meet them. When you are here, in this moment, your decisions are clearer, your actions are grounded. You are no longer reacting to imagined futures or replayed pasts. You are responding to what is real right now. The quality of every choice improves because it is no longer clouded by projections that don't exist. Think of how often we live in distraction. You are with someone, yet your mind is elsewhere. You are eating, but you are not tasting. You are listening, but you are not hearing. You are breathing, but you are not alive to the miracle of the breath itself. And then you wonder why life feels empty, why days blur together, why nothing feels enough. The answer is not that life lacks meaning. It is that we are absent from it. Meaning is found not in doing more, but in being here for what is already happening. The mind resists presence because presence dismantles its illusions. In presence, there is no story to cling to, no regret to replay, no fear to feed. There is only the reality of this instant, and that reality is often more than enough. The more you taste it, the more you understand that peace is not waiting for you in some distant future. It is woven into the fabric of now, waiting for you to pay attention. Presence is also where joy hides. Not the fleeting joy that depends on circumstances, but the quiet joy that arises simply from being alive. This kind of joy is subtle, but it is steady. It does not need validation, and it does not require everything to be perfect. It grows naturally when you stop demanding that this moment be anything other than what it is. The miracle is not that life will one day fulfill your dreams. The miracle is that you are alive at all, breathing, aware, capable of experiencing this exact moment with all its textures and colors. So the choice is always before you live in the mind's projections, chasing what isn't here, or anchor yourself in presence, where life actually happens. The mind will tell you, somewhere else is better, some other time will be greater, but presence whispers, this is it, this is enough. And when you listen to that whisper, when you step fully into the moment, you discover that the best of life is not waiting. It is happening. Now there are moments in life when the weight of struggle feels unbearable, when pain presses so deeply into your being that you wonder if you will ever rise from it. In those moments, it can seem as if hardship is proof that you are broken or abandoned, as if struggle itself is evidence that life is against you. Yet what if the very difficulties you resist are not obstacles in your path, but the shaping forces of your path. What if the pain you carry is not a punishment, but a teacher carving you into someone stronger, wiser, more capable of living fully? Struggles have a way of disguising themselves as enemies. You see them as things to escape, things that should not be happening, interruptions to the life you thought you were meant to have. But if you look closer, you begin to notice that every difficulty you've endured has changed you in ways that comfort never could. Think of the strength you gained when you had no choice but to keep going. Think of the compassion you discovered after you yourself had been wounded. Think of the clarity you found when everything you thought you needed was taken away. These treasures were not given to you in easy times. They were forged in fire. It is in the middle of struggle that the mind cries out, "This is too much, this is unfair, this is meaningless." But time reveals something the present cannot always show, that what once felt like a collapse was, in truth, a breaking open. You are not the same person you were before you faced loss, failure, rejection, or heartbreak. You carry scars, yes, but those scars are proof that you endured, that you rose, that you grew. They are not marks of weakness but of resilience. When you embrace this truth, something inside shifts. You stop seeing struggle as something to run away from and start seeing it as something to listen to. Every difficulty holds a lesson, even if the lesson is simply that you are far stronger than you imagined. Pain is not here to destroy you. It is here to awaken you. It teaches you patience when you want quick answers. It teaches you humility when your pride blinds you. It teaches you empathy when you realize that everyone, in their own way, is carrying something heavy. And yet, there is a danger in resisting struggle. Resistance makes pain heavier. When you tell yourself, "This should not be happening," you add another layer of suffering. But when you soften into it, when you say, "This is hard, but it is here, and I will meet it," the weight begins to transform. Struggle does not vanish, but it becomes something you can carry with dignity. What once seemed meaningless begins to weave itself into your story as a source of depth and strength. It is also true that struggle reveals who you really are. In moments of ease, you can pretend. You can wear masks, play roles, and hide behind appearances. But when life shakes you, when comfort is stripped away, what remains is your essence, your courage, your endurance, your true values. Hardship burns away illusions, and in that burning, it leaves behind something authentic. You may not realize it in the moment, but later you will look back and see that the person who emerged from struggle is not weaker but more real. And so, the invitation is not to seek struggle but to embrace it when it arrives. You do not need to go looking for pain. Life will bring it in its own time. But when it does, remember that you are not being buried, you are being planted. Struggle is the soil in which your strength grows, the dark ground from which your resilience rises. What feels like an ending is often a beginning, though the beginning is hidden in the dark. You cannot control every hardship, but you can choose how you meet it. You can choose to curse it, resist it, and let it harden you into bitterness. Or you can choose to face it, learn from it, and let it carve you into someone capable of deeper love, deeper wisdom, deeper life. And when you look back, you will see clearly that the very things you once wished away became the foundations of your greatest strength. So when struggle comes, do not run from it. Meet it. Listen to it. Allow it to shape you. Because what feels like a burden today may be the very reason you stand taller tomorrow. There comes a moment in every life when you realize that much of what you have been doing has not truly been for yourself. You have laughed when you didn't feel joy, agreed when you wanted to say no, followed a path that others told you was right, and tried to mold yourself into what would be most acceptable. It may win you approval. It may make you look successful. It may even silence the judgment of others for a while. But deep inside, there is always a quiet ache, a feeling that something is missing, because you are living someone else's idea of who you should be instead of the truth of who you already are. Authenticity is not about perfection, nor is it about displaying yourself loudly for the world to see. It is about living in alignment with your inner truth. When what you think, what you feel, and what you do all flow together, there is a sense of freedom that cannot be given by applause or recognition. You stop performing and start being. You stop chasing worth in the eyes of others and discover it in your own presence. The danger of living for approval is that the finish line keeps moving. Just as you think you've met the expectation, another one appears. You shape yourself according to the desires of others, but in doing so, you abandon your own. Slowly, you become a stranger to yourself. And no matter how much approval you gather, it can never fill the emptiness left by the absence of your own voice. But the moment you turn inward, the moment you dare to live in truth, a different kind of strength emerges, a strength that does not depend on being liked, admired, or understood. Of course, authenticity is not without cost. It asks you to risk being misunderstood. It asks you to walk away from roles that once gave you a sense of belonging. It asks you to shed masks that have protected you for years. But what you gain is immeasurable. You gain the peace of not pretending. You gain the joy of standing where you truly belong. You gain the rare gift of loving yourself without condition. Because you are no longer trying to be anyone else, it is important to understand that authenticity is not about refusing growth. It is not saying, "This is who I am, take it or leave it." It is about discovering the deeper layers of who you truly are beneath the conditioning, beneath the fear, beneath the need to conform. It is about peeling away the false identities until what remains is your essence, raw, real, and alive. From there, growth is natural, not forced. Change becomes genuine, not performance. You may find that when you begin to live authentically, some people will leave. That is not a loss, but a clearing. Those who only loved the version of you that pleased them were never truly connected to you. In their place, something else appears: relationships built on truth, not pretense, connections that see you as you are, not as you pretend to be. And in those connections, there is a deeper sense of intimacy, because nothing is hidden. The freedom that comes with authenticity is unlike any other. When you no longer fear rejection, when you no longer need to wear masks, you discover that you can breathe more fully. You walk into each moment without the weight of proving yourself. You live lighter, because there is nothing left to defend, and the world responds differently too. Even if not everyone accepts you, they feel the undeniable power of someone who is fully present, unafraid to stand in their own being. So much of life is wasted in the performance of being what we think will make us worthy. But worth is not earned through performance. It is already within you. The act of living authentically is simply uncovering it. It is the quiet courage to say, "This is me, flawed, imperfect, still growing, but real." And once you taste the freedom of that kind of living, you will never again want to go back to the prison of pretending. The best time of your life begins not when everything outside you is perfect, but when everything inside you is aligned. And that begins the very moment you choose to stop performing and start living in truth. So often we imagine that life will finally begin when the darkness is gone, when the storms have passed, when the weight we carry disappears. We tell ourselves that only then, only in the light, will we be free to live fully. But this is an illusion. Darkness and light are not enemies. They are partners, forever intertwined. To chase only the light is to deny half of who you are, and in that denial, you lose the very depth that makes life meaningful. There are parts of you that you hide, the aspects you wish no one would see, the fears, the doubts, the impulses, the pain. You bury them under achievements, distractions, or the mask of perfection. You tell yourself that these shadows are weaknesses to be erased. But the truth is, the shadow carries truths the conscious mind is not yet willing to face. It holds the lessons you cannot learn through success or applause, but only through struggle, humility, and honesty. By running from your shadow, you also run from your wholeness. It is a mistake to believe that the best time of your life will come when you have eliminated every flaw, when you feel only peace and never conflict. The best time is now, even with the presence of shadow. For the shadow is not here to destroy you, but to guide you. It shows you where you are divided, where you are pretending, where you have abandoned yourself. And if you are willing to face it, the shadow becomes a bridge back to authenticity. Think of how light becomes more radiant against the backdrop of darkness. Stars cannot be seen at noon, only at night. The brilliance of their glow depends on the contrast. In the same way, the light in you shines more deeply when you have embraced your shadow. If you try to live only in the light, the glow becomes shallow and fragile, because it has not been tested. But when you have faced your inner darkness, when you have accepted that you are both strong and fragile, kind and flawed, hopeful and afraid, then your light has roots. It is steady, unshaken, because it is not built on denial, it is built on truth. Life will never be free of shadows. Loss will come, fear will whisper, anger will rise, mistakes will happen. To live fully is not to eliminate these experiences, but to integrate them. Every time you face what you would rather avoid, you expand. Every time you acknowledge your shadow without judgment, you reclaim a piece of yourself that had been hidden. Slowly, you discover that you are not divided, but whole. And what is wholeness if not the union of opposites? You cannot know compassion without first knowing pain. You cannot understand joy without once having been broken. You cannot value peace unless you have felt the turmoil of inner conflict. To erase darkness would be to erase the very canvas on which light is painted. And so, the invitation is not to deny the shadow, but to walk with it, to allow it to teach you, to let it deepen the richness of your being. This acceptance transforms the way you experience life. Instead of waiting for a perfect, shadowless future, you begin to see that the fullness of life is here, in this exact mixture of light and dark. The struggles, the fears, the mistakes, they are not interruptions. They are part of the dance. The beauty of this moment is not found in its perfection, but in its wholeness. When you stop fighting against the presence of shadow, you begin to discover the hidden harmony within it. It is easy to say, one day I will be happy, when the pain is gone, when the shadows are healed. But that is another way of postponing life. Happiness is not waiting for you in a flawless tomorrow. It is available even now, within the imperfect mixture of shadow and light that makes you human. And when you live with that awareness, you realize that the best time of your life is not when the shadow disappears, but when you have the courage to embrace both shadow and light as essential parts of your wholeness. We often imagine that transformation arrives in a single dramatic moment, as though one day everything will suddenly shift, and life will become what we've been waiting for. But life does not change in grand gestures alone. It changes in the small choices you make each day, the quiet decisions that seem insignificant at the time, but over weeks, months, and years, shape the entire direction of your life. These small choices are like drops of water, and though one drop feels like nothing, over time they carve rivers through stone. Think about it. The way you speak to yourself in the morning, whether you choose words of doubt or words of encouragement, determines how you carry yourself through the day. The decision to meet a challenge with avoidance or with courage determines whether you shrink or grow. Even the simplest choice, whether to pause and breathe or to rush and react, creates ripple effects that touch every part of your life. The future is not built in some far-off tomorrow. It is built in the quiet discipline of today. The mind likes to tell you that small actions don't matter, that you need some grand breakthrough, some radical event to set you free. But think of how a tree grows. It does not burst from the ground fully formed. It pushes upward, inch by inch, rooted by countless invisible movements beneath the soil. Your life is no different. Every word you speak, every step you take, every thought you feed is a seed. Over time, those seeds grow into habits, and habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. There is great power in realizing that you do not need to wait for a miracle. You are making your future right now, in the way you choose to live this very moment. If you give your energy to resentment today, it deepens its hold on you tomorrow. If you give your energy to patience today, you strengthen your ability to endure tomorrow. Nothing is wasted. Every small choice counts. And yet, this is not meant to be a burden but a liberation. For if the future depends on your choices now, then you are never powerless. You do not need to wait for the right opportunity or for life to finally give you permission. You are creating momentum every time you act with awareness. Even the smallest act of kindness, the smallest act of discipline, the smallest act of courage builds a foundation that your future self will stand upon. Too often, people imagine that fulfillment will arrive all at once, as though they will wake up one day and everything will be perfect. But fulfillment is not something you stumble into. It is something you cultivate through the rhythm of your daily living. If you live each day waiting for greatness to arrive, you miss the chance to create greatness in the simple, ordinary moments already in front of you. Consider the way a musician masters an instrument. It is not through one performance, but through countless hours of practice, small movements repeated with care. Consider how relationships grow. They are not sustained by grand declarations alone, but by daily gestures of presence, listening, and care. So too with your own life. The grand vision is built from the accumulation of small intentional acts. This truth should comfort you, because it means you do not need to wait for everything to align before you begin. You do not need to be flawless or certain. You only need to make one small choice right now that leans in the direction of who you want to become. And then another. And then another. Over time, the person you long to be is not some distant dream. It is the natural result of the steps you have taken again and again. So do not underestimate the power of this moment. Do not overlook the significance of the smallest choices. For it is here, in the quiet decisions of today, that you are building the life you will one day call your own. And when you understand this, you see clearly that the best time of your life is not somewhere ahead of you. It is being written now, choice by choice, moment by moment. There is one truth we often avoid, and yet it follows us quietly through every day of our lives. Time is finite. No matter how strong, wealthy, or intelligent a person may be, none of us can escape the reality that one day, our time here will end. At first, this thought can feel unsettling, even frightening. We are conditioned to turn away from it, to distract ourselves, to pretend that we have endless days ahead of us. But if you truly let this awareness into your heart, it does not make life smaller. It makes it infinitely larger. It sharpens the meaning of every moment, because you realize how precious each one really is. When you forget mortality, it becomes easy to postpone living. You think, I will follow my dreams later. I will forgive when the time feels right. I will express love tomorrow. I will begin to truly live once I am more secure. But tomorrow is never promised. And when you live as though you have forever, you lose sight of the urgency of now. The truth is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. To remind you that life is not a rehearsal you are preparing for. This moment is the stage, and it is happening now. The gift of mortality is that it teaches you what really matters. If you had endless days, you might waste them carelessly, believing there would always be more. But because time is finite, your attention sharpens. You realize that most of the things you obsess over, the judgments of others, the chase for status, the worry over appearances, are fleeting and unimportant. What remains are the essentials: love, presence, growth, and courage. Mortality invites you to live without delay, to place your energy into what nourishes your soul, rather than what only pleases the world. Think of how differently you might live if you carried this awareness each day. How many arguments would you let go of sooner, realizing they are too small to waste your heart on? How many chances would you take, knowing there may not be another? How many moments of beauty would you notice? The sunlight breaking through clouds, the sound of laughter, the quiet comfort of your own breath. Simply because you understand that one day, These moments will no longer be yours to experience. This is why the best time of your life is not in some future dream, but in this very instant. Because this instant is alive, and it belongs to you. Every heartbeat is a reminder that life is still offering itself to you, still giving you a chance to love, to learn, to create, to forgive, to be. Waiting for a better moment is like standing before a feast and refusing to eat because you are waiting for a meal that may never come. The banquet of life is spread before you now. The awareness of mortality also frees you from fear. When you know time is limited, you stop asking, "What if I fail?" and begin asking, "What if I never try?" You stop being paralyzed by the opinions of others because you realize their judgments will fade just as quickly as your own days. You stop hiding behind excuses and instead step forward because you understand that hesitation is a thief. It steals the moments that could have been lived with courage and presence. This truth also deepens your gratitude. Suddenly, even the simplest experiences feel like gifts. A conversation, a meal, a sunrise. Things you once overlooked are seen as treasures because you recognize they will not last forever. Gratitude grows not from having everything you want, but from realizing how temporary everything is. And in that realization, life itself becomes a miracle, not someday, but now. So instead of turning away from the truth of mortality, let it guide you. Let it remind you that each day is a chance you will never have again. Let it strip away distractions and bring you back to what matters most. Let it wake you to the reality that life is not waiting for you in the future. It is unfolding here, in this very moment, with all its fragile, fleeting, yet breathtaking beauty. And when you live with that awareness, you understand with absolute clarity that the best time of your life is now.